Yo, it's Antoine of Antoine Chambers Consulting, and I am here on Labor Day laboring to bring you information that you can use. It is Labor Day. Hopefully, everyone is having a great Labor Day. Hopefully, if you are able to relax, you are relaxing and doing what you can on this beautiful day. Actually, don't really know how beautiful it is because I haven't been outside today, but hopefully everybody is doing well. So this one today, I am going to share with you a few tips for entrepreneurs to help you kind of get over some of the humps that you may be experiencing. Some of this stuff that I'm going to share is going to be fundamental, but also be stuff that forces you to get out of the box that you may be used to. So if you're going to hang out with me, let me know that you're going to hang out with me. Feel free to share this post. Feel free to engage. Let me know if you're watching so that I can say hi to you, so that I can engage you and make sure that you know that I got you. All right. So I think I am good. I should be able to see my comments now. So we're going to talk marketing for just a few minutes. This is a topic that is near and dear to a lot of entrepreneurs because marketing is one of the key factors of a successful business. And without marketing, stuff just gets kind of difficult. So I'm gonna give you 3 tips that you can use to build your marketing. So when it comes to marketing, there are a lot of different tricks, a lot of different tips, a lot of different things you can do to improve your marketing. So I'm not going to try to overwhelm you with a lot of content that will just be exhausting, but I do want to give you some stuff that you can activate quickly and effectively. If you have any questions as it relates to marketing, you can feel free to post those in the chat. I will get to those as I can. Even if it's after the replay, I will, or during the replay, I will follow up and get those going. So the first thing we want to talk about is locking in your customer persona and being able to speak their language. So we're going to lock in our customer persona and speak their language. This is something that ends up taking a lot of the stress off of you as you begin pushing through your marketing. If you are trying to market to people products and services or whatever it is, but you don't have your customer persona locked in, you will find yourself talking a lot, but not getting as many results as you're talking. So to lock in your customer persona means that I'm going to understand who I'm talking to. Now, for a lot of people, we are used to hearing the term target marketing. We're used to hearing the term target audience. But one of the things that we don't talk enough about in some circles is your actual customer persona. So when we say audience, you can say, oh, well, my audience is this age. They are in this area, that type of stuff. And that's good to know a generalized concept of what your audience is, but generalizing that is not enough to make sure that you can execute. So in order to execute, you have to specifically talk to a particular person. Now, here's a way for you to really lock this down and understand this clearly. If you are, let's say you have 2 children or 3 children or more, each of those children is specifically wired differently. They are each unique in their own way. They are not the same, maybe even in behavior. So when you're doing your marketing and you're talking to your general audience, which may be your friends or people out there, you will find that sometimes when you talk to this general audience, people aren't listening because you're not clearly talking to them. So when you have your children, you may talk to child A certain way about their room versus the way you talk to child B, because child A and B require to hear it differently to be able to execute. You may tell child C that they may get this type of reward because that type of reward is effective for that type of child, but child A doesn't like the same reward as child C. So for you that are parents, hopefully you can understand that from the perspective of how you deal differently based on the child. With your marketing, your customers need to be dealt with differently. So let's say that you are targeting women, and women is a very general thing. So to narrow that down, what you do when you create your customer persona is you give that woman a name. You give that woman a name, and then in giving her a name, you give her certain attributes that you can speak to. So this woman is named Jane. She is this old. She likes to do these types of things. She is concerned about these things in her life. This is the problem that she has. This is the challenge that she faces. So your customer persona has to be a particular person with a name that has attributes that you can solve a problem for. So if the attributes are not clear and you don't understand what Jane needs, it would be very difficult for you to communicate to her clearly in a way that she can grasp and at a level that she can consume. And the difference in grasping and consuming is she can grasp the principle, but consuming it means that she's digesting the information that you're doing. So when you speak to your customer persona or your perfect audience, you are speaking in a way that you have clarified in yourself by saying this person does this way. Hopefully that's making sense for you. Also, if you have any questions, you can post those in the comments. But when you're talking to an audience, you have to give that audience a name and make sure that you're speaking to that particular person very clearly. Now, you may have a reach of 100,000 or more people that can use your product or service, and you may generalize that first customer persona so that you can speak to that general audience because they have similarities. So once you have your customer persona, you're starting to talk to people that have really distinct similarities. All right. So that's one. So in our 3 tips, our first tip is lock in your customer persona, give them a name, mark them down, and describe them very clearly. Not just their demographics in the sense of where they live, but how do they think? What do they like? What are some of their activities? So you can give that person a real look, or you can give yourself a real look into that person and who they are. All right. So the next point in our 3 points today is to add value and communicate often. When it comes to adding value, sometimes we put ourselves in position as business owners, as marketers, as entrepreneurs. Sometimes we are not communicating the value that matters to our customer persona. And we're not offering as much value as we think we are, because you can be offering somebody what you believe is value, but it's not the right person. So therefore they aren't getting value. So when you have an audience and you know who that audience is, you have to speak into the life of that particular audience, the value of your product or service. And adding value is not just simply a sales pitch. Adding value isn't saying my item has A, B, C, and D, and the features are A, B, C, and D. So adding value says, what am I doing that makes this person, my customer persona, connect to my brand in such a way that they're like, I have to get more information? And how often can you communicate this value where they feel like they are becoming a part of the community? They're becoming a part of something that they believe in or that they agree in. And it can't happen until you lock in that customer persona, which was our first tip today. Lock in the customer persona, speak their language. Once you're speaking their language, you're adding value to their lives with your brand. You're adding culture, you're adding community to their lives by communicating often. And you can communicate via your email, your text systems, your social media platforms. You can communicate in all of these different areas, but you have to add value. If you don't know how to add value, then those potential customers, those potential clients will go to someone that is clearly communicating often how they add value, because the winners are the ones that take the most risk. The winners are the ones that are in the race the most often. The winners are the ones that run untiringly, if that would be a word. Those are the winners. So by adding value and doing it often, you put yourself in the winner's circle. This is the idea. A person that is running a race but hasn't practiced and hasn't run that race enough is less likely to win against someone that has been consistent in their race. They've been consistent in their pursuit of winning. So in order to win the race of customers, you have to add value. Some of the ways that you can add value is by making sure that you give out not necessarily free items as much as free insight, free clarity. You can add value by actually touching the touch points or helping with the pain points that your potential audience has. So add value and communicate that value often. Now, when you communicate that value, you don't have to say it the same way every time. If you offer value that has 10 points that you can communicate, maybe one month you're hitting 1 point with more effort. The next month you're communicating the next point. You don't have to communicate everything at once, because if you communicate everything at once, you may not, as going back to our first one, you may not be speaking their language. Your consumers can only retain so much information, but they have to have a clear value added message that you communicate often. So that's tip 2. Tip 3 is, if at first you don't succeed, tweak and try again. So with that said, not everything you do will work, but if you don't do something, nothing will ever work. So not everything that you do will work, but if you don't do something, if you don't try something, if you don't press through, you will definitely not have anything that works. So with this thought, this says it's okay to have some failures, because your failures are going to teach you those lessons and give you something to improve on. Too often we want to start at the top with our efforts. I'm guilty of doing that myself, where I'm like, man, I wanted this to work this way this first time, but I had to see what worked in it, what didn't work in it, tweak it, and try it again. Sometimes people will do sales, or they'll do special offers, and in these sales and special offers, they're like, oh, I didn't hit the number that I wanted to hit. Okay, well, you hit a number, which is good. Now, how do you actually hit the goal number that you were shooting for? You go back and see, all right, we got this that worked, and you have to be able to really get a sense of what you're doing each time that you're trying again and not succeeding, so that you know what to tweak. So if you have too many variables, it's hard to tweak and try again, because it's like, okay, I changed all of this stuff from the first time, and now this second time, I'm just lost. So what you have to do is you have to put yourself in position to say, okay, we did this worked. Now we're going to say, how can we improve this without breaking what worked? And that's the real challenge. It's like, how do I do the next step or scale or improve without breaking the initial thing that actually did work? And one way you do that is by making small tweaks each time. Don't change your whole thing so that you lose what you got at first. What you have to do is literally sit there and say, this is what we did at first. This is how we implemented it. This is what worked. This is what our goals was, and what we expected that didn't happen. Then say, well, what if we tweak the text? We'll keep everything else consistent, and we'll tweak the text, and then we can try again and see if that works. The process of A/B testing stuff in your marketing and trying stuff and not succeeding can be challenging. But if you try, if you do it, if you take the effort, if you get the clarity, if you follow those 3 steps of locking in your customer persona and being able to clearly speak their language, if you add value and communicate that value often, you will then be able to execute things that will more than likely succeed, because you've put due diligence into making it work. And if it doesn't work, you try again. You invest more time, you invest more effort, and you don't change everything. You just change enough to get the results that you're looking for. So in this video, I talked about three marketing tips for entrepreneurs that will help you kind of get over some of these humps in the things that may not be working. And those 3 things, again, were locking your customer persona, speak their language, add value and communicate often. If at first you don't succeed, tweak and try again. And really, I gave y'all 6 things, But I wanted to say 3 things, so I gave you 6 things because each of those things were actually 2 things together. So this is my video for today. If you have any questions, post those down. Feel free to share. Feel free to tag a friend that could use help in their marketing to grow their business. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.